Well, now the government itself has some explaining to do. The federal government has been warning Canadians for months to be careful with their money and not go into debt too heavily. Well, now the government itself has some explaining to do. It has somehow lost track of $3 billion. $3 billion. The money was earmarked for anti-terror initiatives, but today in his latest report, the Auditor General said he can't figure out where the money went.
The UN Special Investigator on Indigenous People has criticized Canada for its treatment of Aboriginal people. James Anaya toured Canada last October and published an extensive report.
Warnings about not overspending, about being careful with our cash. It's advice the Harper government doles out regularly, but they didn't follow it last week. They spent more than $300,000 of taxpayers' money giving some European bureaucrats the royal treatment, an expensive ride home on a government plane.
Well, the Canadian government is coming under increasing pressure from rights groups and Aboriginal communities following the murder of another Native woman in the city of Winnipeg. Activists are demanding a federal investigation, but the government refuses to do so.
Former Conservative MP Dean Del Mastro has been found guilty this morning of all counts in his election overspending trial. That is, guilty not just of overspending in the 2008 election campaign, but also falsifying a document and then proceeding to cover it up.
The RCMP has laid 31 charges against Mike Duffy of fraud, breach of trust, and bribery.
Where the Harper government is swinging back against charges, it's using the Canada Revenue Agency to target certain charities. The opposition and several charities claim they are being singled out for audits because they don't toe the Tory line.
Well, for months, the government has faced criticism over a jobs program it's been promoting, but which doesn't actually exist. CBC News has learned that the government is choosing not to spend its own allotted security budget to protect overseas diplomats. Instead, the savings are being used to pay down the deficit.
Hi there, I'm Darren Howard.
And I'm Robert Nisbet.
Welcome to our review of 2014 in the Conservative Party of Canada.
Here on Radio Free Canada, independent media
for an intelligent world and us.
Speaking of intelligence, that's one thing the Tories have proven not to be in the past year.
Oh man, some really bad decisions have been made. Within the clip there, we are talking about the missing $3 billion from the fiscally responsible Conservatives.
Well, I don't think they know what that word means.
The biggest crime that there was, Aboriginal women still going missing, and it's just not high on their radar.
Terrorism doesn't seem to be that big a deal either. However, one of the accomplishments the Harper government is touting is their signing of a trade deal with China that's a little questionable.
The Foreign Investment Protection Act is actually screwing us all over. This is our first clip on our review of the Tories 2014.
Canada. We are one country. We don't always agree about how best to use our resources, but Canadians, all of us, from First Nations to new immigrants, agree that it's the decision we should make ourselves. Now that freedom to choose is being threatened by a deal negotiated in secret, the China-Canada Trade Treaty, known as FIPA. FIPA would give another country control over our resources, our labor laws, and how we protect our natural environment. A deal that we would be handcuffed to for 31 years. If it passes, China's companies could sue us for anything that puts our choices as Canadians ahead of their ability to make profits. Not only that, the lawsuits would be arbitrated by secret tribunals outside of our legal system. FIPA could be ratified at any time without input from Parliament or from you. But one small, courageous group of people, the Hoopachesit First Nation, have stepped forward for themselves, but also for all of us.
We need your support. We can't do it alone. We need to move forward on this together.
After 31 years without the ability to choose what is right for our country, for our children, and for our future, will Canada look the same? Will Canada still be Canada?
So the truth is getting out. Right now, the Conservatives are, I don't think it's been ratified in the Senate yet, the Foreign Investment Protection Act, but they're selling us out and cheap.
And not just FIPA, there's the TTP, the TTIP, and CETA, all kinds of trade deals that are designed to give corporations sovereignty over us.
You know, can I say fair trade with the United States? How's that shake and shingle industry doing for you?
Actually, I think these guys are all traitors.
Yeah, traitors. We had the Tories on our radar and, of course, proud to be on Harper's enemies list. However,
yes, there was a little incident called Robocall happened back in 2011, and, well, there have been a thundering silence from the Conservative majority.
Thundering silence is not the word for it. They threw one guy underneath the truck, but robocalls just proved to us we have no legitimate Conservative representation in Parliament right now.
Finally, only one charge laid in that whole incident. But here's a quick look at a rundown on the Robocall scandal.
Canada's chief electoral officer has investigated the Robocall scandal and found our country's democracy at risk. Mark Mayran looked at nearly 1,500 complaints from 3/4 of Canada's federal ridings. Many of those calls were in Guelph, Ontario, made by the so-called Conservative operative Pierre Poutine.
CBC News has confirmed that ex-Conservative staffer Michael Sona, he's 24 years old, has been charged under the Elections Canada Act. Now, the section that he has been charged under, and we've confirmed this from the courthouse, is 491.3D. What does that mean? Well, this is in the Elections Canada Act, and it's about willfully preventing or trying to prevent an elector from voting. Now, you have to remember, Elections Canada has been investigating thousands of illegal robocalls that were made in Guelph on Election Day back in May of 2011. And these calls instructed voters to go to non-existent polling stations. So they've been investigating this for 2 years, and this is the first charge that has been laid. Now, Sona was in charge of the communications for the Guelph Conservative candidate at that time, Marty Burke. Now, back in October, Michael Sona did an exclusive interview with Power and Politics, and he said clearly that he was not Pierre Poutine. Pierre Poutine, you remember, this was the pseudonym used to make these calls, so the name that was used to make these calls. He clearly told Evan Solomon on Power and Politics he wasn't involved in this. He also said during that interview he didn't have access to the lists of voters that Elections Canada believes were used to make these phone calls. What he said during that interview, you've got to take a look at the options and just say, you know what is more realistic option here? He went on to say that some 22-year-old guy, he was 22 years old at the time, managed to coordinate this entire massive scheme when he didn't even have access to the data. So that's what he said in that interview, but now he has been charged under the Elections Canada Act.
So Michael Sona was convicted, thrown under the bus, took the hit for the team.
Yes, took one for the team. Way to go. You know he's going to have a cushy law job or some kind of Conservative job when he does get out. But of course, social media being what it is, so we don't forget. It just doesn't work that way.
But of course, we do have to hold these people accountable, and in a just society, that would happen.
Well, we're working on a just society. Around the world, we do have a look at protests coming up in our look at 2014. And we've got some other looks coming up in December, or coming up in February and March, and the Conservatives, but covering Peter Mansbridge.
And his interview with Mr. Harper at the end of the year, and some of the crazy things that Harper had to say that were obvious mistruths.
Yeah, obvious mistruths. A little bit of an amusing clip cut together by independent media.
Yeah, press progress, guys. You're doing a great job.
Check it out.
So why don't we propose something then?
We have proposed something.
What have we proposed?
Well, the province of Alberta, excuse me, the province of Alberta itself already has it's one of the few GHG regulatory environments in the country. It has one. I think it's a model on which you could go broader.
This is the carbon levy?
This is the tech fund price carbon levy, and it's not a levy, it's a price.
We have a government smart enough to reject dumb ideas like a $20 billion carbon levy. job-killing carbon tax.
Filling his head with goofy ideas like carbon taxes, industrial wind turbines.
Their dangerous economic experiments include a carbon tax that'll raise the price of everything.
Last week you made some headlines by saying that while you still maintained your promise that at some point the oil and gas industry will be regulated, that it would be crazy to be doing it now with the price somewhere around 60, I think at the time, lower now. If that's a crazy price, what is an acceptable price?
Well, that's not quite what I said, Peter. First of all, what I said was actually what I've been saying for some time, which is that this is an industry that is integrated between Canada and the United States in North America. And what is crazy would be for us to impose costs only on our industry in a way that would not reduce emissions, but simply shift jobs and development to other parts of North America. That makes no sense. We're seeking a continental response on this particular question, not just with the United States. We'd like to see Mexico as well. There's a tech fund in which private sector makes investments. So look, that's what Alberta has done. That's a model that's available. But as I say, we're very open to see progress on this on a continental basis.
So it's a stellar year for the political party that keeps putting their foot in it.
Yeah, no, if they could go for a week without shooting themselves in the arse,
yeah,
it'd be amazing.
Last year when we were producing stuff, we just posted a show on the Conservatives and they had messed up so much in a 2-week period. We had 2 more shows.
Yeah, they just can't help themselves.
And it's ridiculous. But we're going to be covering it because what we're pushing for is real democracy, honesty amongst politicians, and a fair way to do things on the planet Earth.
I'm making sure that you make the right decision when it comes to the election next year. And we'll take you along for the ride and enjoy the drive.
Yeah, you know it, man. It's not the destination, it's the journey. I'm Darren Howard.
I'm Robert Nisbet.
Thank you for taking a look at the Tories with us right here at Radio Free Canada. It has been a slice this year.
Please like and share and subscribe.
It always helps out. And we're going to start going for those pledge drives very soon. It's Radio Free Canada.
More to come.
And how did the interview go?
At this employment agency, recruiters are trying to fill more temporary jobs than full-time.
Permanent staffing has pulled back a bit. Again, organizations need to get the work done, so they've turned to flexible staffing to get the work done.
Sure enough, the November jobs report shows a net loss of full-time jobs, 10,000 according to Statistics Canada. A change of fortune after strong gains in the 2 previous months.
The November jobs numbers aren't very encouraging, but economists will tell you 1 month of data doesn't say much. They analyze several months of information in order to see the overall trend in the economy.
The first half of the year was lackluster, but now the overall employment trend in Canada is actually a positive one.
Job gains were running at less than 10,000 per month in the first 6 months of this year. Now in the second half, we're seeing gains of about 27,000 jobs per month. So that's a significant step up.
Also good news for Canada, the American labor market, up 300,000 new jobs.
I think our crystal ball is as clear as everybody else's.
At the employment agency, there's optimism for 2015.
Regardless of what's being reported in the paper, our business is actually quite robust right now.
So would it be flex or permanent?
Unemployed workers hope that trend keeps moving in the right direction.
Very good.
Diane Buckner, CBC News, Toronto.
Hi, it's Darren, Radio Free Canada with Darren Fiddler. Local activist. How's it going for 2014, man? We're doing the year in review.
Oh, it's overdone with. We're in 2015 now. We got a big election this year. We're going to get Harper out of there. We're going to legalize pot. We're going to make a bunch of smart moves this time because, well, we've been sort of in a deficit for the last while, so...
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, 2015 will be the year that we kick some ass.
Right on. And that was impromptu. That was right on the money, man. You should be on the TV or something. Oh, wait, you are.
Oh, look at this.
Thanks for hanging out, Radio Free Canada, Darren. Very cool, man. Cool. See?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys.
That was good, man.